Hey, what's going on, everyone? It is Behavior here for another episode of Just My Opinion. Thank you so much for being here. I really do appreciate it. And with this episode right here, we are talking more Marvel spoilers, more Eternals, MCU, Marvel Studios, all that good stuff. So if you are subscribed to my channel, you already know that I did drop in fresh out of the theater reaction that you can go check out. I also did drop a non-spoiler review, which is on my channel. You can go check out, but this time we're going to go into full-blown spoilers. And I did say we, and so let me go ahead and tell you why. And that is I'm bringing in a good friend of mine from this great state of Florida. That is James from Real James. What is going on, my brother? How are you doing?
What's going on, Brandon? Thank you so much for having me today. My gosh, it's a long time coming because I have hopped on the live stream, and shout out to your amazing audience for asking me to come on. But it is such a blessing to be able to talk about Eternals and also openly about spoilers because, Brandon, I got a lot up here.
Right on, right on, right on. Well, I'm excited myself to, get into it with you with this film Eternals. I don't know if you know, but I love Marvel, and I like to get into it pretty tough. I also just want to shout out one of my subscribers. I believe it's Sweet November, who made this request in the comments. She was like, "Hey B, I want you to collab with Real James. Y'all do a spoiler review for the Eternals, and hey, your wish did come true. We're here to get into all these spoilers. So again, guys, this is full spoilers. We're gonna spoil this thing up, down, left, right, in, and out. As if you've already seen it, you have been warned. Okay. So James, sir, are you ready? Are you ready?
I'm ready for you. I'm so ready. I'm actually kind of nervous about your comment section after this video goes live, though. Can't lie to
Oh,
you.
okay. Okay. Well, let's do it. And just real quick, guys, James' information is down in the description box of this video. Also, if you head over to my channel tab, he is right there. This is what this brother's channel looks like. Over 5,000 subscribers, on his way to 10K. So that's what's up right there. But if you go to my channel, you click my channel tab, there he is right there, Real James. And so make sure you show him some love, and there's a link to all of his stuff, like I said, down in the description box of this video. All right, and so I like to go into these blind when I bring people on. I want to know how they feel when we're recording, just so I can get that nice reaction. So James, I want to ask you, well, I mean, people, if you're out there watching, we haven't talked about this film. I don't know how he feels. He doesn't know how I feel. I'm going to assume that he liked the film because I did see his thumbnail, and he was like, "You're wrong about Eternals." So I don't know what that means. Actually, I'm gonna let him tell us. I'm gonna let him tell us, because it says it right there. Yeah, you're wrong about Eternals. So I don't know if that means the people are wrong, or I don't know. We're gonna see. So James, let all the people know out there, man. How did you feel about Eternals? What are your adrenaline impressions? And you can spoil it as much as you want.
Of course, Brandon. Thank you so much for that amazing introduction. So, what I want to say right off the top of the dome is I didn't like Eternals.
Oh,
I loved it, Brandon. I absolutely
oh,
loved it.
okay. You tricked
Okay.
me. Okay, you
I
got me.
love this movie. And the reason my thumbnail
uh,
says you're wrong about Eternals is because even before I could sit in my seat, Twitter, Brandon, they go off on a tangent sometimes. And then you get some of the vitriolic comments. And I can't lie, there was one comment I saw that said, Eternals is the worst MCU movie. And I thought to myself, I don't know if this is true. Sat down after 2 hours and 37 minutes of Chloe Zhao's MCU experience. I came away loving this film. It's absolutely the most gorgeous MCU movie we've gotten. It's the most vast in scale, and I do think it provides something new. And hey, for everyone saying, "Oh my gosh, the MCU, it's too formulaic. Oh my gosh, it's the same thing over and over again." This is that wild card, and I think
yes,
it just
sir.
exceeded all my expectations.
Exceeded your expectations. That's what's up right there. Well, I'm glad to hear it. This trickster right here got me. I thought he didn't like it, but he pulled a fast one on me. I like that. I like that. How I feel about it. It met my expectations. I liked the movie. I did not love it.
Mm.
All these comments that are coming out that you're saying, all the naysayers, I do agree, but at the same time, I know this is all subjective. But overall, I did enjoy it. It's something that I want to see again, but I'm not in a rush to see it again either. And so
Mm.
I guess that's another testament of how I feel about it. Because usually I'm just like, man, I can't wait to get back to the theater to see that next action scene or to see this line of dialogue. It wasn't like that for me. But those emotions have been kind of up and down like a roller coaster, because sometimes I'm like, okay, I'm really interested in seeing this part again, and then while other moments since I've seen it, it feels like a chore. And it's been over a week since I've only seen it one time,
Mhm.
since the time of this recording, and I've there's a number of things that I forgot that you may have to help me with, and so I don't know. Is that me saying that this is a forgettable film? It's not in my top 5 in the MCU. It's not in my top 10.
Mhm.
It may squeeze somewhere in the top 15. But I did like it. I did enjoy it. I know right now on Rotten Tomatoes, it is a rotten
No, don't do
score.
this. It's gonna break my
Yeah,
heart. Oh, I think.
51%
Oh my
out of
gosh. No.
216 reviews, and so it ain't going. It's not going to be fresh, unfortunately.
But can I
I
speak
mean,
to that, Brandon?
it's fresh
Uh,
to me. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, see, that the thing is, Rotten Tomatoes, this whole consensus, it's bothered me a little bit, Brandon, because people look at it and they're like 51%. It's the worst movie of like whatever the fall. It's MCU's downfall. It's going in the wrong direction. But I do feel like some of the worst movies, superhero wise, that have been rated rotten, I've actually enjoyed, like Man of Steel. I believe that's rotten too, and I like
Yeah.
Man of Steel quite a bit
Right.
now.
Right.
So I do
Right.
think that this is a movie that's a grower. It's gonna grow on people, Brandon.
Right. 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 I've heard some criticisms talking about, I don't like it because it's not like some, other Marvel movies. And I mean, I guess if that's what you want to say, that's fine. I'm not going to argue with that. I think it's silly, especially when I've always heard echoes of superhero fatigue, and Marvel does the same thing over and over again. It's formulaic, blah blah blah. But then you do something completely different, you know, that's breaking the mold, then you
Mhm.
complain about it. I don't know. It's just kind of interesting. And just to your point, yeah, Man of Steel is 56%, and I love that film. I thought
Oh,
it
you
was,
do? Oh, good.
yeah, yeah, I thought it was fantastic. But let me ask you this, man. What was your favorite part of the movie? Like that, was there a segment or aspect of it that just kind of like blew you away? It was like that is the best part. I have something. But I want to ask you first. Go ahead.
Of course. So I have two answers to that, because the one shock and awe moment for me, because just for context sake, I saw this at an IMAX theater. It wasn't a true IMAX theater. So the 1:4:3:1 ratio wasn't
Right.
there. It was like a widescreen IMAX. And
Mm-hmm.
when we sat down, and the first time they showed Arishem, where Ajak was speaking to Arishem, that moment blew my mind. You can tell
Mm.
that's where most of the budget went for the VFX and the special effects, but it just totally floored me. But outside of that, it's the opening action sequence, because I didn't expect it. One, and two, I thought that they would maybe save a lot of their powers, like show them throughout the film, and then at the end, then they culminate, because that's just the traditional progress for me when it comes to an ensemble superhero movie. But right out the gate, they showed everyone's powers, and I thought it was just an excellent sequence. It was shot very well, and to me, it just set the tone, and that's why I think it's one of my favorite scenes in the entire film.
Right on, right on. Well said, sir. Well said. I was ready to click that Arsham the Judge picture because I had a feeling you was going to say that, and I have to agree. This was my favorite part of the movie right here. I love the depiction of the Celestials. Even in my
Mhm.
review, I said that when they first showed the trailer, when I reacted to it, I was kind of geeked out, during that moment when he popped up, and this was phenomenal. This was phenomenal. I love the scale, the size. I love the voice. I love the color. I love the animation, and like just showing how he was creating. Just using his powers, like how he teleported at the very end. When some of the closing moments when he appeared in the sky, and all you could see was his eyes. And I forgot what Eternal it was exactly, but he like summoned her or him, and he went up there. All that was badass. I
Mhm.
loved all that. That was just, and I correct me if I'm wrong. I think everybody else saw that as well. Like all the other human beings. Like, what is that in the sky? You know.
Yeah,
Um,
I think they did. If I'm not mistaken, if they didn't, I do believe maybe it was just the Eternals, but I think that they did see that big Eternal in the sky, and they thought, okay, this isn't normal.
right, right, right. And then a matter of fact, just the talking about the Celestials, just how big they are. I like what they was doing with the emergence, and how
Mm.
the one at the end was coming out of the ground. And when you first saw the first I don't know, like reference of the celestial coming out of the ground. I didn't know what it was. I was like, is that the head? Is that this? But it was like his fingertip. I was like,
Mhm.
dang, these things are just so massive. But everybody, that's like a new wonder of the world. Everybody's gonna be like, where the hell did this come from? You know, and I love that. And so the Celestials, that was badass to me. Mega awesome. Go ahead, go ahead.
Of course. No, I just had a one question for you, Brandon. At any point with Arisham, did you feel like in the beginning, okay, this is like got potential to be the antagonist, or did you always feel like, okay, this is a good guy, like he's just huge, but he's a good guy in the beginning of the film?
I felt that he had some antagonist vibes to him. I did. He has a, but I was trying to give him the benefit of the doubt because he has a level of comprehension that's just far beyond ours. So I'm just like, we're small fries, not even that, So he's like, look, there's a bigger hierarchy of power here, and I got my rules too. So that's why I was giving him the benefit of the doubt. But I mean, do you feel that he was kind of a villain antagonist? I
So what
do
I
it. I mean, I'm on the
Yeah.
fence.
Okay, I get you because see, initially, I think it's because it's my optimistic nature by default. I think the actor's name is David Kane, right? David Kay or David Kane, I can't remember the voice of Irisham, but he said essentially he had this one line to Ajax in the beginning, and
Hmm.
it gave me hope. And I thought, okay, he is like the person who's protecting the Eternals as they go out and carry out their mission to, like make humanity and make Earth a better place. And I thought there was this switch in tone when he spoke to Cersei when they were talking about the World Forge. And then I was
Hmm.
like, wait a second. He's evil, but there was a cool character switch. So for me, it went from protagonist to antagonist. And that was one of those mind blowing moments because then at that moment it clicked. Okay, so maybe the Eternals weren't sent here for a good reason.
Okay, because that does go into the plot reveal later on in the film. So, and you were correct, Arsham David K. I was trying to. Oh, there we go. Yeah, this is Arsham the judge right here, guys. So, show him. So you did a good job, sir. You did a good job.
Thank you. Thank you.
But yeah, I mean, yeah, Is there anything that you want? I mean, does that disappoint you, that switch, or do you not really care?
No, I don't think it disappointed me because they did something very similar with one of our main Eternals. And I don't want to jump ahead of our agenda today, Brandon, but I
Okay,
think you know which
okay.
Eternal I'm talking about when it comes to twists and turns.
I do, and I believe I do, and I have some opinions on that. I can't wait to dish out and let the world know because I can spoil everything right now. And so yeah, you just a moment ago you talked about them showing the powers in the very beginning. That is something else that I really did like. To me, the best display of power in this movie, and I don't know if I want to go ahead and say she's my favorite Eternal, but I loved her. I loved how she was dishing out all of her powers and that speed tagging. Icarus at the end, she had him up against the rocks, that was badass right there. Um, I loved her, or just the powers at least. What is her name? Lauren Ridloff. Oh,
Oh,
that's
Lauren
my
Ridloff is
oh,
amazing. Yeah.
Ridloff. Okay, my fault. As Makari, I'm not too familiar with her, but she's on my radar now. What about you, man? Do you have a favorite Eternal or a favorite display of power, or you just want to talk about the powers?
So I do have a favorite Eternal, and it was the Eternal that I was like really standing for in the trailer even before I sat down in my seat, and that's Fastest. Oh my
Really?
gosh.
Okay.
Brian Tyree Henry, not only is his performance really good, but I thought the character for me was relatable. And it's hard to relate to an Eternal, Brandon, when you're thinking about these superheroes that have been around for how many centuries. So I love the fact that Fastest was able to show us the humanity of it all. And this is the character I think that really exemplifies what Chloe Zhao wanted to display in the film, which is a case study on humans and how non-humans can eventually learn to love and to work with and collaborate with humans themselves. So Fastest is my favorite, but the one Eternal that I will tell you that I grew to love a little bit more in this film was Cersei, because I thought Gemma Chan
Mhm.
did a great job at being, for me, the character I could see myself in the shoes of in terms of being the leader that no one wants of course, or no one expects to be the leader, and she doesn't even expect it for herself. So for me, Cersei is the one Eternal that I grew to love, because I can't lie to you, Brandon, I was already all the way in on Makari because Lauren Ridloff. I think she was in a film
Oh yeah.
before this. Was it Sound of Metal? I can't remember, but man, Makari is just excellent. So to your point, yeah, she's the only one that had Icarus on the ropes.
Gotcha. Okay. So we got 10 Eternals, right?
Mhm.
4 of them I did not like. 6
Oh,
of them I did. Makari is one that I loved. I did like her, and also Cersei right here. But I have to I beg to differ on your boy Fastos. I did not really care for Fastos. Now I am very eager to see this film again to see if I feel different about him. I did like the fact that he was grounded emotionally. I
mhm.
liked his reaction to, what was it, the Hiroshima bomb,
Oh yeah.
you know, and because he was the tech eternal and, you know, advanced the technology and all that. I like that about his character, but it was just something about the delivery from Brian Tyree Henry that I just wasn't on board with, you know.
Mhm.
It just seemed like, I mean, I know they're acting, but it just seemed like he was acting. It just didn't seem like he was being himself. And maybe it's because he was playing a demeanor, you know, a sensibility that I've never seen before. I mean, he is a great actor.
Mhm.
I don't know what it was, but I don't know. I just went in love with him. I didn't hate him. I just he was he was one of my least favorites.
Ah,
I,
that's so
I
surprising to hear, Brandon, because
yeah
the thing is, I thought you were gonna love him only for the simple fact that he is the most detached Eternal while still being an Eternal. Essentially, he doesn't want anything to do with the Eternals, so he provides that new perspective, and he's on the outside looking in rather than being on the inside of the team looking outward. So, I mean, I don't think, the a perspective that Fastus has for humanity is one perspective that even Icarus could ever have in his life, because he was so detached from humans.
yeah. There he's another character I didn't care for.
Oh, interesting.
Icarus.
Wow.
He was just a jerk. And annoying. Like, I mean, he ended up being the bad guy. I just didn't like him. I didn't even, before the reveal that he was the bad. I just didn't like him. I don't know. He would. He just was a prick. I just didn't like. I wouldn't hang out with him. You
No,
know,
I probably
I
wouldn't
wouldn't
either.
even. I wouldn't give him a nod. We was walking down on the sidewalk, and you know, sometimes you get a good vibe. Somebody you give him a what's up or a head nod. He wouldn't get one of those from me. No, he was
I get
whack. And
I
that's
get
all I
you.
have to say. Yeah, you know, I'm using the word whack. Yeah, he was whack. You know.
Man, that's so surprising, Brandon, because I think the reason I'm surprised, not because you don't like him, and I do agree he was a jerk in the film, but I think it's surprising because he, to me, is propped up as the Superman. There's even a line in the film where the little boy says, "You're Superman," Fastus's son. So it's like right on the nose. And that's the one thing with Icarus's character I didn't like too much, is that they used him as that prop to really be that like on the nose reference to not only Superman, but flying too close to the sun,
Yeah.
Icarus, Greek
Right. Right.
mythology. I'm like,
Right.
bro, okay, it's a little pointed now. Like we get it.
Do you think he's dead?
So you know that old rule in comic book movies, Brandon? If you don't see them die, they're not dead. But
That's
I do
true.
think he's dead because he's Richard Madden. He's probably busy with other projects, and they can't keep all 10.
I got you. Are you a big fan of Madden?
See, I wasn't before Game of Thrones, but then after I saw him in Game of Thrones, I was like, you know what? I think I'm all the way in on this guy. He's really, really good at what he does, but I don't think he gave the best performance in this movie, particularly.
I got you. Yeah, he just wasn't my favorite. Somebody else. Well, let me ask you. Like, do you have? You already answered one of your favorites, but do you have somebody? Did you like all the Eternals, or was it one that just put a
So
bad taste in your mouth?
I will tell you that I liked them all, but I won't tell you that I loved every single character. And that's probably not because of who they are, it's how they were used. Like, for example, Athena, I love Angelina Jolie's performance, but I almost feel like they always relegated her to being that like emotional angle for Don Lee's Gilgamesh. So she was never able to stand on her own until the very, very end, but it was in an action montage. So she wasn't ever like on her own for a long period of time. Even when Don Lee ended up dying, Thena was still kind of to herself and almost went ghost in that second act up until like that final fight with Icarus. So I thought that they might have done a better job with the handling of her character. But I will tell you one character that grew on me that I didn't like in the first act at all, Brandon. Like I will tell you, I probably felt the same way about this character as you do with Icarus. Is Barry Keoghan's Druig. because I was like, this man is rude. He just does not care. He has no sense, no empathy. And
Yeah.
essentially, at the end, it was Makari who brought him to his senses. It was Makari that was the one to, I guess, get Druig to be a good guy after all. So I kind of like them both together anyway, but it was Druig for me that surprised me the most.
Hold on. Druid, the picture I just popped up with the mind control, right?
Yeah, he had the mind control. Remember in the this little town, like secluded, I
Yeah.
think in the forest or something, where they go and they see him, and he's like basically using these humans.
Right. Well, man, you just pointed out some things that I don't even think I observed. That's what's up. Because he was a third Eternal that I wasn't in love with, and it wasn't for those reasons. It was because I thought the acting was horrible.
Oh,
This Eternals movie was the first time I thought the acting was bad from the leads. And those go to like was it Fastos, Brian Tyree Henry, Icarus, Sprite, and Druig. I thought
mhm,
the acting from Druig was trash. It was horrible. I mean, I was just like, whoa. However, I still liked his character though. I
mhm.
love the fact that he was able to mind control the people and have them shoot the deviant. I'm like, oh, this dude is smart as hell. This is genius. You know what I'm saying? I mean, instead of him leaving the humans alone and leaving them helpless for them to fend for themselves. Oh my God, what is this? A monster? Not be organized. He's like, let me put all of you guys in sync. Boom, boom, boom. I
Right.
was like, I think I fell in love with his character at that point in time. But I was like, I like you, man, but your acting kind of sucks,
I
And
get you.
I don't know. He just looked. This is gonna sound stupid. He just looks like a toilet bowl.
Oh, no,
That
Brandon.
is what comes to mind when I see it's the hair.
Really?
It's not. I'm not being ugly. It was something with his hair that made me think of toilet bowls. And I'm
Oh
being
my
for real.
gosh.
I'm
I
being for real.
have you seen him in anything other than Eternals by any chance
Nope.
or no?
Mm.
So I saw
Yeah.
him. I saw him in The Killing of a Sacred Deer with Colin Farrell.
I ain't even heard of
This was
that.
a A24 movie a couple of years ago, if not a few years ago by now. But it
Okay.
is filmed by Yorgos Lanthimos. He's a Greek
Oh,
director. He did gosh, he did The Lobster with Colin Farrell. I don't know if you've heard of that film, but Barry
I have
Keoghan.
heard of that. I have heard of
Okay,
that. Okay. Yeah.
so Barry Keoghan plays this like downtrodden to himself introvert that does not express emotion. So that's why
Mm.
when going into this film, I thought Barry Keoghan as, I don't know, Druig as like an Eternal. I don't see
Yeah.
it, but for me he brought it. I mean, I know it says Dunkirk there, but I mean there were like 5 lines in Dunkirk. No one said words, so you couldn't
Oh
really
wow.
judge anyone on
Okay.
their acting. But I
I
did
got
love
you.
Barry Keoghan in this film. I just thought he delivered such a good he delivered a performance that allowed me to sort of empathize with a character I already prejudged, if that makes sense. So it challenged me and kind of how I view our Eternals.
I got you. I got you. How'd you feel about your boy right here, Gilgamesh? Let's talk about Gilgamesh. Yeah,
That's my
I
guy.
should. I like Gilgamesh. I wanted
That's my
more of him.
guy.
Yeah,
I love him, Brandon. I
yeah.
know you saw Train to Busan. I know you did.
I think I did. I think I did.
Oh
I
my
think I
gosh,
did.
Don Lee, the best part of that film. But Don Lee in this movie, for me, I don't know what it is about Don Lee, but he has this like very warm, inviting presence to him. So as
Hmm.
Gilgamesh, I almost think that there were scenes he was on the verge of stealing, but they always paired him with Thena, and it just took away the spotlight from Gilgamesh just a little bit. And I think they might have nerfed his powers. I don't know, Brandon. If you punch a deviant with that much strength, ain't no way that deviant's getting up. So I think they kind of nerfed it for the movie. But I do think Gilgamesh was one of my favorite Eternals, but it was Don Lee's performance and how he invited me into the character that allowed me to really fall in love with his portrayal of Gilgamesh.
How you think Hulk will stand up against him?
Ah, I think Hulk loses because Gilgamesh.
Yeah.
I, I think he
I mean,
loses because Go ahead. Sorry, Brandon. Go ahead.
no, I cut you off. I was asking you a question. My bad. Go ahead. You go
I'll be
ahead.
honest. I think Gilgamesh is just more calm, cool, and collected from the jump. So he almost has that knowledge. And Hulk is fighting just with his, well, I mean, he has a lot of passion, sure, but he's not really using his brains as much at the beginning. So
Right.
I do think it would be a tight fight, but I think Gilgamesh might win.
I got you. I'm not mad at that answer. What was I about to ask? And Gilgamesh is one of them that died, right? If my memory serves me
Yeah.
correctly. How do you feel about them killing the Eternals? And the way they did it, because they killed Ajak. What's her what is her name? What is her real
Salma
name?
Hayek.
Salma Hayek. They killed her. They killed this brother here. Who did they kill anybody else? I don't think they did. I don't think they
Well,
did.
Icarus. I mean,
Oh
maybe.
yeah, yeah. So how you feel about that, man? And the Eternal, yeah, we talking about, if you want to speak more about the Eternals, we can. We haven't talked about Sprite yet. And we
Mhm.
can talk about that. But I just thought about that because Gilgamesh died, Athena died, and then that's where they transform and get the powers, and we can shift over to the deviants if you want to.
Oh, I have
If
thoughts.
well, let's go. Let's get into into the deviants, and also like them enhancing themselves by them absorbing powers. But go ahead, tell me how you felt about the deviants. Did you like them? Did you hate them? You
So
on the
I was
fence?
skeptical, Brandon. I was so skeptical from those trailers. I thought the visual effects looked awful. I thought that maybe the animation looked a little janky, but in the final film, I think it
Uh-huh.
works in the context of the movie because in the trailer, we get them in such quick moments that it didn't really register for me. But seeing them in light, I think they did a good job. And I thought that they were a unique character design. But what I will tell you is that photo you just threw up of I can't remember his name, but this deviant seemed to be like the leader of the pack and trying to restore their race, knowing that emergence was coming.
Mm-hmm.
But I will tell you, I think this came a little too late in the game. It's almost like they set up villain A with Arishem, and then villain B with Icarus, and villain C was this deviant, but it came so late in the second act where I thought they almost shoehorned it in. It's one of my negatives about the movie, honestly, is that the pacing gets a little janky because of how much they're really putting into the story itself.
I agree. What was I about to say? Like, how did you feel about the reveal though? Because you said villain A with Arsham, and then villains. The reveal. And are you able to sympathize with the deviants at all as well? Because he was like, we were just trying to survive. He put us here, and and we were just trying to, like you said, survive. I mean, is that a shift for you? Or are you on the deviant side at all? Like, how you feel about that?
I guess I won't be on the deviant side, but I can tell you that I will understand their instinct to survive. I just don't think that they always went about it in the right way. Like their instinct to survive was to literally kill an Eternal and take their life, and maybe that is the one way to do it. But I feel like if they would have just collaborated with them and asked Fastus to develop something, it probably would have worked out much better. Maybe they went after the Celestials, and then eventually they could live in harmony between the deviants and the Eternals and the humans. But I think the deviants were a little, it was tough for me to empathize with them because I mean they're just killing some of my favorite characters, but also I mean they went about surviving I think in the wrong way.
Right. I'm every time I think about them, man, I'm on the fence. Sometimes I like them, sometimes I don't. And I think part of that is I want them to be more than just the bad guys that go around eating people. And it may be there, but I just don't remember. And I have to see the movie again. Because what the question I just asked you, my answer is I was not able to sympathize with them after that. And I just kind of think, I don't know if their whole story, their whole arc just makes sense on like
Mhm.
why they were created. Arsham, super duper powerful cosmic being. He said that there was a mistake. I think at one point he said he also built the Eternals so they could take care of the deviants to fix his
Mhm.
mistake. Why can't you just wipe them out? Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's just what crossed my mind. Maybe they answered that in the movie, but that is what goes into defining the deviants in this movie. And with me not having the best understanding of like why they're there, that may not make sense. People may try to come from me in the comments. That's kind of a small criticism of mine too.
No,
I don't know. I just wanted, they didn't seem like much until this scene, until they started transforming and being more sentient. You know, um,
I get you.
I
No, I
wanted
totally get
more than just wild dogs that the Eternals had to, kind of like look after. You know what I'm
yeah.
saying? So
I get you 100%, Brandon. I do think that there is an explanation, but like you, I'm a little foggy because it comes right in the middle of the movie, right as the second act is beginning, where Cersei somehow gets that like ball or whatever from Ajax, and then goes and visits Arishem, and then Arishem is explaining how the Eternals were created, the World Forge, excuse me, and the Emergence and the Deviants. But see, that also is a criticism. I don't know if maybe anyone in the comments is going to agree with me, or Brandon, I don't know how you feel about that middle portion of the film, but that's where the pacing started to feel like a popcorn effect where you have high highs, but you have some low lows because it got a little too overly expositional, and that
right.
sort of threw off the momentum that first act built for me.
especially with the way they were doing the timeline, going back and forth from a few hundred years ago to thousands of years ago to present, and back and forth like a yo-yo. I don't know. It just wasn't, kind of just firing at all cylinders the way I wanted myself. I mean, I was never bored, but there was a few times where I was just like, as a scene was transitioning, to the next. So, but let me ask you, I don't want to forget about this character. How did you feel about Sprite?
Oh, about Sprite. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. So I will tell you that this is probably one of the characters I didn't really have at the forefront of my mind. I went into the movie not even thinking of Sprite. And then what I ended up coming away with is understanding this character a little bit more so in terms of like this is the struggle for the Eternals as a whole. They can't age, right? So because they can't age, there's always got to be that one caveat where what if it's a child? They don't have the same experiences as others. So I kind of like that they threw that wrench in there, but I feel like this is a character that is there to just display amazing powers. And the way they wrote this character in the third act, it became more annoying rather than something that you could add to the plot and the impact of that final fight.
Gotcha. Yeah. And matter about the final fight too. Your boy wasn't there, Kingo, because he agreed with Icarus. Like, well, if we don't let this eternal, emerge, billions of lives won't be created. So
Hmm.
I don't even remember what happened at the end. Like, was he cool with the rest of the gang, or did he go off and do his own thing? What happened? I don't even remember. I just remember he bounced. He didn't go into the final fight, and then I forgot what happened after that.
Well, here's the thing with Kingo, right? So I know we both remember that Kingo, he left with his homie, the valet guy. Oh gosh, I forgot the name of the actor, but what an amazing bit of comedic relief at the times we needed it the most. But I loved Kumail Nanjiani as Kingo, but the way they kind of phase this character out is essentially because Kingo doesn't agree with Cersei. He agrees with Icarus, but he doesn't agree with how Icarus is going about it and doesn't want to play an integral part in wiping out humanity because he still has that attachment to Bollywood, still has his attachment to his friends and his I guess I don't know if he has family at all, but like I know that he had that attachment to humanity. But the thing is, at the end, when Kingo and Cersei meet up, and I guess maybe they're taking a taxi or a car somewhere, Kingo actually makes a little nod to still not agreeing with Cersei. So I'm like, okay, is Kingo being set up to be like this villain down the line? Like, did you get that vibe, Brandon, at all that he might actually turn against the Eternals?
No, man, I didn't get that vibe, but that's a nice theory. I'm
I think he
listening.
might. I think he might be
Okay.
like a dark horse villain. I don't know why.
Okay. Well, guys, y'all heard it here first. If Kingo is a dark horse villain, James needs to get the credit. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna trip out if that comes into fruition or whatever. How did you feel about Game of Thrones dude?
Oh, Kid Harrington.
Yeah, Kit Harington. I can't believe I forgot his name. And
It's okay.
as the
Uh,
Black
uh,
Knight.
it's Dane Whitman, right? If I'm not mistaken, Brandon is the character name.
Uh
My goodness, I won't lie to you, Brandon. At
huh.
first, I found it weird during the press tours that Kit Harrington wasn't really involved in a lot of these junkets and a lot of these roundtable discussions. And yeah, he was on the red carpet or the purple carpet premiere, or was it
Mm-hmm.
blue? Can't even remember, but it wasn't red. And I just remember that Kit Harrington, for me, I thought he would be someone who played a bigger part in the back half of the film because in the beginning they set him up as the boyfriend of Cersei. You know, he's the human character that Cersei eventually leans on, and that's her why in terms of saving humanity. But I thought that they would bring Kit Harrington in for more than just a stroll in the park towards the end of the film. To me, it felt like he's there for another film. He's like that setup character. And I mean, we're gonna get into it, I'm guessing later on, but man,
Mm-hmm.
that
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
post-credit scene essentially confirms he will be a part of the MCU in a greater capacity too.
Yeah, I have no complaints about him, but I have no praises either. He was just there, and I was just like, this is just a slow introduction, to your character, which I'm fine with. I'm not complaining. I'm not like, oh, they shoehorned him in. It's just, he didn't. I mean, he was there. I acknowledge him, but I wouldn't. I'm not excited. I'm just, okay, we know you're coming next. How do you feel about the romance of the film? Because
Ooh.
there was kind of some romance with Sprite. They had some romance with Fastos, excuse me, and they had some romance between Icarus and Cersei, and Sprite were a little jealous, and and that too. How you feel? I'll go first. I wasn't in love with any of it from anybody. I didn't hate it. It just didn't do anything for me. That's all I'm saying. It didn't move me. It didn't turn me off. I wasn't like, this is horrible, they need to cut this out. It just, none of it from any of the no love story romance in this did it for me. It didn't move me at all. How you feel?
Oh my gosh, Brandon, Brandon, I thought
Maybe
you would have loved Makari and Druig. Like that for me
I
was
don't
the
even
number
remember
one
that,
really.
man.
What? Oh,
Yeah, I
I'm
gotta see
sorry.
this again.
I'm freaking out because I ship them so hard. Like
It's
when I
okay.
first got the nod, so there's a little moment. It's very nuanced, of course, but there's this nod, a little look from Makari to Druig, where it's like that look back a little bit, and I thought to myself, oh my gosh, are they a thing? But Druig is a jerk. Makari's very nice. She's empathetic and she is to herself, but she understands taking care of others. So towards the end of the film, they're always building up a little bit of that like sort of chemistry between them. And then at the end, they don't kiss or anything, but you can tell they're romantically interested in one another. And to me, that was the best relationship in the movie because it wasn't something we knew about coming into it. We knew about Cersei and Icarus. We knew about Cersei and Kit Harington. At least from what I saw in the trailer, I could kind of get the glimpse that maybe Dane Whitman and Cersei are a thing. But for me, I thought it was great to see Phastos as well get his shine because I have a friend, his name is Larry. He also had a review out for Eternals and made a note, and he said that this is probably the most spot on and pointed representation. It was no frills, it was just thrown up on the screen. And this is what Chloe Zhao probably pushed for. And I have to agree because I haven't seen this before in an MCU movie, Brandon. We've never had this sort of representation before, have we?
We have not. They had it had everybody. They had, I actually went and counted. I was like, wow, they have every bit of representation. They have a black man, a black woman, a brown man, a brown woman, an Asian man, an Asian woman, a white man, and a white woman. Uh, all the heterosexual, homosexual, handicap, and adult and young age. So they got a nice little little crock pot, I guess, if you wanna,
Right,
So hey, it is what it is, So uh two thumbs up there.
for sure.
Okay, okay, okay. Now let me see. Is it what have we not talked about besides the post credit scenes? I mean, I'll say this, how I started this review off. It met my expectations because me going into this, all I wanted them to do is expand the universe, expand the
Mm.
MCU. I think they did that, tenfold, and I am so thrilled with it. It makes, I said this before, it makes everything that came before in the MCU just seem so minuscule. Like it's like, who is this guy?
Yeah.
When you have this guy, who is this
Hmm.
guy? I still think Thanos is coming back. Just a
Oh,
little
you
theory of
do?
mine. Yeah, I don't think Thanos wiped out half of the universe. I think
Hmm.
he only wiped out half. Well, actually, I take that back because that was my theory until I saw this film. I was always like, you know what? I don't think he wiped up half the universe. I think he only wiped out half the galaxy, and he
Mm.
thinks that he wiped out half the universe, but he didn't because I don't know. He doesn't know how to use the stones that well and knowledge and
Hmm.
experience. But Ajak in here, Salma Hayek, she did say herself, half the universe, and she isn't eternal, so she
Hmm.
would know. She's super powerful. She's more. Is she more powerful than Captain Marvel?
Oh, I would think so, but here's the thing, they don't really show Ajax being, like, almighty in terms like that. They tell you, like, "Hey, Brandon James, like, Ajax is really strong, right?" And we just have to
Right.
agree with it and go with it, but I think we've seen Captain Marvel's powers on bigger display than we have with Ajax.
I got you. I got you. And did we talk about the action? Did you say if you like the action or not? I can't
Oh,
remember.
I loved it, Brandon. I thought I was pleasantly surprised. I'm not gonna lie to you. See, I came into this movie because I'm familiar with Chloe Zhao, and I
Mm-hmm.
thought, okay, so after having seen Nomadland and it win an award, she's gonna bring a very grounded. She's shooting on location. This approach is going to be more emotional rather than action oriented. So I went in thinking, okay, we're going to get a Chloe Zhao film through and through. However, Brandon, I was surprised at the insane amount of I guess, consistent action that was present. I didn't think that there was one beat when it came to the action sequences where I thought, this is running a little long. If anything, after they ended, I thought I needed more and I wanted more.
Mm.
So I thought the action was incredible here. And even the scene you're showing on the screen right now, I think what they do is they play with the visual effects with the practical effects very well. You can tell some of these shots, Brandon, that they were on location, bro, and they probably had markers, sure, and they had to go into post production and edit everything, but it added to this realism. It didn't feel like they were in front of a green screen the whole time, if that makes any sense at all. But I loved it.
Right. I agree, man. I agree. I love this. Well, this was just promo art, but I still badass. But
Oh, but
I
you love that. I know you did.
yeah, I love all this imagery right here and these effects. It is pretty badass. It's out of this world. Nobody on Earth is conjuring weapons like this, and so that's all cool right there. I wish we would have saw more of her, but no
But
big
we
deal.
might. Brandon,
Yeah,
we might. She's still around, you know? So I think that's the thing. The Eternals are going to fold into the greater MCU. Maybe we don't get an Eternals sequel, Brandon. What I'm thinking is that we get Eternals popping up in these event films, if that makes sense.
yeah.
So they've established them. Now we get them in these event films because Thena, there's no way they waste her power like that, especially with her arc where she went from, not being in control to finally being in control. And I do think that, there's just too much cool here in this group for them to just waste it for one single film. We're going to see Cersei again. We're going to have to see Thena. And honestly, I do think that it would benefit some of them to appear in Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, but maybe that's a video for another day.
We'll see. I'm nervous about that film, that and Spider-Man, to be honest with you. I mean, they haven't let me down, but I'm just still nervous. I just don't want them to mess it up. So we are at the end, my brother James, and let's go ahead and get into the nitty-gritty of this mid and post-credit scenes. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it. This mid-credit scene, first I gotta say, when that little creature popped up, that was some of the worst CGI I've ever seen in my life. That was pretty bad.
Can you walk through the mid credits? I actually want to hear your commentary on it. Can you do
it? I don't even know where they were, but some little midget dwarf thing popped up. I don't know who that is. And I think the other character, I think his name is Eros or something like that, and it's Thanos' brother.
Yeah.
And the only reason I know about him is because I watched Rob's channel, the dude that got like over 1 million subscribers on the Comics Explained and stuff. He be talking about that stuff. And so, yeah, that. And then at the end, we get Kit Harington's character, Dane Whitman, as the Black Knight. He go over there, open up the sword. It's cursed. He looking like he don't want to pick it up. Looking like, man, if I pick this up, it's gonna open up a whole can of worms that I don't feel like putting away. And I'm more looking forward to that. I just want to see somebody flying like a Pegasus with a sword. That just seems, that is what it's called, right? A horse with wings.
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I just want to see that. That just seems like it's just super badass. I don't really know what to make of that mid-credit scene though. The post-credit scene I do, but the mid-credit scene I have no idea. But how you feeling about it?
So I will tell you that the biggest takeaway for the mid credits is Harry Styles playing Eros. I thought it was a complete shock and surprise to me. I stayed away from all the spoilers. Do you remember that night before the premiere and the night of the premiere, all the spoilers that were coming out, Brandon, on Twitter? I stayed away from all that nonsense. So when he showed up, I even said out loud, I said, that's Harry Styles. And my buddy looks over to me. He said, how did you not hear about this? But that's the thing. I stayed away. And I figure, okay, Thanos' brother. So does this possibly open it up for that theory you had, Brandon, where maybe Thanos' brother understands that maybe Thanos is alive somewhere? Maybe there's an alternate multiverse where he is terrorizing his people or the people in that multiverse, and they have to go and see. It opens up a huge web of possibility. But I will be honest with you, as someone who reads comics every now and then and not always, that didn't impact me more than, hey, Harry Styles, if that makes sense.
I got you. I'm not too familiar with Harry Styles. So, even if I saw the spoilers, I probably would have been like, who is this? Just to be honest with you.
His music is catchy. I'm gonna be honest. After he left One Direction, I thought he has a better solo career than he did with the band. I mean, I loved Watermelon Sugar. I think the man's got a lot of swagger to him. And apparently he's dating Olivia Wilde, Brandon.
And I don't know about that, but I'm pretty sure I've heard his music before.
No, of course. So now I think since we did cover the mid credits and Harry Styles being Thanos' brother, I have a question for you, Brandon. Who in the world do you think is the voice off screen that goes ahead and tells Dane Whitman to put it down, or something, whatever he says about not touching that sword? Who do you think it is?
To be honest with you, the first thing that came to my mind, I thought it was Blade, but I was like, it can't be. but I thought it was Blade. I heard people thinking it was Samuel Jackson, but I don't know. I thought Blade is what it's most likely wrong, but that's what came to mind the first time I heard that. I heard the voice.
Bro, are you? I want it to be Blade now. So if it's Blade, then Brandon had it first. You know.
Yeah. Who you
Oh
think it
my god.
was?
So I said Nick Fury all the way. My friend turned over to me, said Nick Fury, and there were some fellow critics whom I am friendly with, of course. But I had, when you side eye people when they give their guesses out loud. They said Doctor Strange, and I was like, that is not a white man.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. That's not at all.
I'm sorry,
Not at all.
Brandon.
That's hilarious.
So I thought Nick Fury at first, and then if not Nick Fury, I thought the Watcher, Jeffrey Wright.
I like that.
Dude,
I
because it's
like that.
canon. Didn't they say what if it's
Yeah,
canon, Brandon?
I like that. I like that. I like that. I like that. You got me excited now, James.
You
You
got
got
me
me
excited for
excited.
Blade.
Yeah.
Oh my
So,
gosh.
man, hopefully it's both of them.
That'd be amazing.
That would be. That would be. Okay. All right. All right. Well, do you have anything else that you want to break down? As far as this movie, as far as this mid credit scene, post credit scene, anything else? Let me know. Let me know.
Of course, the one thing that we didn't touch on, it's technical, not everyone's going to resonate with it, but it's the score and composition
Mm.
by Ramin Djawadi, who composed music for Game of Thrones, Westworld, and he even had that movie Reminiscence this year that was not very good, but at least the score
Okay.
was fine.
I missed that
But
one.
you can keep missing it. It's okay. It's
Okay.
not very good, Brandon.
Okay. Good.
But what I
Good.
will tell you is his score in Eternals, it's funny. At first, it was like not as present as I wanted it to be because I'm a sucker for scores and I
Mm-hmm.
wanted the music to just go and pulse through the screen, similar to how Hans Zimmer had his score in Dune. But I recognize they're two different movies, of course, so I have to level my expectations. The thing about Ramin Djawadi's score is that over time it got better and better. And I went back and listened to it because it's streaming now. And I thought, oh my gosh, it's the same feeling. It's gone better and better and better. And I think that's the thing about Ramin Djawadi. He doesn't give you his best right away, but he saves the best for like the middle and then plays and riffs off of it for the final action sequence. And he came through for me. I don't know how you feel about the score, Brandon, but I loved it.
It was one of the better parts of the movie. I can't believe I forgot to talk about it myself. But that was a standout. I did enjoy that. So, good call out, sir. Good call out. Good call out. So, nice.
Thank you.
Um, yeah, I don't know, man. I think I'm good. You got anything else you want to get into as far as Eternals?
I guess the only thing I'd have to say is this is one of those movies, and you and I, we're critics, so we are of course asking people to trust our opinion, but we want them to go and see the movie and have that conversation with us. This is one of those movies where I do believe I'm going to trust the audience score more than the critical score.
Agreed.
Because I think there's this issue with critics when it comes to MCU movies sometimes where they want to see the next Endgame. They want that killer event film. They want to see No Way Home where all the other Spider-Man come in. They just want the action and that fanfare. But the biggest issue for me here was that people came into it not necessarily with the mindset of this is going to be a different MCU movie. They came into it with limited expectations, and it didn't meet that because it was exactly what they wanted from Far From Home or those other films. So it's sad, but I'm going to side with the audience, I think, on this one.
What would you rate this out of 1 out of 10?
1 out of 10, I give it a 9 out of 10.
Oh, okay. I gave it a 7 out of 10.
Ooh.
And I'm gonna leave it there until I see it again. And I'm really, I'm definitely gonna be getting this on physical media if it's available, because I want to see it. We're gonna get like a 4K DI, and I know those IMAX scenes are gonna pop at home. So,
Yes.
I'm looking forward to that. So. Well, guys, that is going to wrap up our Eternals spoiler movie review with myself and Real James. I hope you guys enjoy this. And James, I hope you have fun, man. I really do.
Loved it. I just love talking movies with you, Brandon. Reviewz TV, man. I say we because I think I speak on behalf of everyone you've invited on the show. Thank you for being inclusive and bringing in content creators that might not be up to, the level of when people say, oh, you've made it, but you're getting there. So we appreciate the fact that you continue to be inclusive and you continue to be a good voice for the community. So thank you, Brandon, for your hard work.
Oh, no problem, man. You'll be working hard yourself. I haven't made it, but I'm trying to get there. And tell all the people all the hard work you got going on, man. What do you have on your channel you want to promote and tell people to go look
Absolutely.
at?
So right on the channel, you can see that we just talked about the latest Avatar: The Last Airbender live action casting, but we're getting into hopefully The Harder They Fall this weekend since I just watched it recently. And I have some screenings next week for films that might be under an embargo, but I can tell you that I'm seeing Encanto, I'm seeing Ghostbusters Afterlife, and I have some screeners in the can like Belfast. I'm seeing, oh my gosh, King Richard I saw already, so that review's
Yeah.
coming out in a couple weeks. So I can't wait to talk about these movies that are going to be awards contenders the closer we get to December.
Yep. I saw King Richard myself on Tuesday. You know,
Oh,
I can't wait to talk about that.
me too.
But guys, this is Real James. This is what his YouTube channel looks like. There's a link to it in the description box of this video, or you can just type in that's the subscriber thing. You can just type in Real James, or if you go to my channel tab, you know, channel tab right here. There's Real James as well. Hey, also buy a shirt or something.
Do it.
I'm teasing. But yeah, there's Real James. So make sure you show him some love.
Thank you, man.
You're very welcome, sir. You're very welcome. But guys, that's going to wrap it up. And I want to thank you so much for tuning in. That is just our opinion. And before you go, don't forget that I'm B. Avery, and that's Real James, and that's just our opinion. Peace out, and we'll see you next time.